Hi, I'm Dusey, and today we're going to look at how to take your home video setup that you likely pieced together from a bunch of different parts and turn it into some really high quality, professional looking video that's going to help you convert clients, build your membership site, or do whatever else you need your video to do. At the end of the day, content is king. The information that you're putting in your video and that you're giving to people is the most important thing. It's what's going to keep people engaged with you. But if people have a hard time hearing you, if the audio is a little bad, if the video is kind of grainy or blurry, or the lighting's horrible, it's a lot easier for someone to go hop off to one of your competitors and see what they're doing. Now, you might have thought I was going to start with what camera you should use. And don't worry, we'll get there. But there's a few things that we need to talk about before we talk about spending a bunch of money on a camera. If you ask a video producer what the most important thing is to get right when you're filming a video, a lot of them will say, it's not the video at all, it's the audio. What your audience hears is more important than what they see. Because if your audience can't hear you well, or if it's grating to hear you, if there's distracting noises, they're going to click away. But if the audio sounds great, you don't even need the video. People listen to podcasts all the time. They get posted onto YouTube with just a little waveform going. They have to hear what you're saying, and it's got to sound good. So, if there's only one piece of equipment that you should upgrade, it is your microphone. I'm going to give you 3 microphone options that will really make your audio sound great. The first is if you want that radio voice podcast, just fantastic sounding audio, then you want a desktop microphone. This is what a desktop microphone would look like. You've got a stand, you can mount it, clamp it to your table, but the key is it's going to have a microphone right by your mouth. And this makes it sound wonderful. This is really the best that you can get. You can get a USB microphone. Yeti makes great ones. Shure makes great ones. And I'll put some links to those that you can consider purchasing. These are the cream of the crop if you want great audio. And it's not too hard to work with, especially if you get a USB microphone as opposed to an XLR microphone, which means you got to start to learn a lot of stuff about how to get that audio into your video. But for some people, this might be a bit much. It's kind of a large thing that might draw attention away from you. But it is pretty common nowadays to see YouTubers doing this kind of thing. So I don't think it's that big a deal, but maybe you do want something a little more discreet. That brings us to option number 2. You might not even see option number 2. I've got a wireless microphone on, little tiny mic that clips here, and the wire runs down to a pack. Now these kind of microphones can be expensive and can be hard to use, which is why I'm going to show you one that's a little bit different. This is the Rode Wireless Go 2. They've got a few different models, but what's really cool about these microphones is that the microphone is built right into this tiny little pack. So you can just clip it right on, you could clip it to a collar, and this other end you can plug into your camera, or you can plug it right into your computer, just a little USB-C cable, and it turns into your microphone. There's a few different brands that offer mics like this, and they're super handy, super easy to use, and honestly, probably my top recommendation. They even will work with your cell phone. It's a very versatile microphone that will serve you for many years. So that brings us to my third recommendation. Wired earbuds. Wired earbuds like this have a microphone built in, and they actually sound pretty good. You might have a pair hanging around. Now, there's a little secret that I have to tell you about. The reason these work so good is because the microphone is right next to your mouth. When you're using a computer or your phone, it's at least a few feet away. And if you've ever recorded someone from 10 feet away with your phone, you'll know that it can sound pretty bad. It's hard to hear your subject. The closer you get your microphone to the source of the audio, the better it will sound, no matter how good or bad of a microphone you have. So, whatever option you go with, 3 things that will help you always sound great. 1, get the microphone as close as you can. 2, but don't put it right in front of your mouth. What ends up happening if you put it right in front of your mouth is there's lots of plosives and popping when you say your P's. It doesn't sound great. So instead, Put it a little to the side, a little down. Anywhere in this zone is going to sound great. Compared to audio that's from way over here. My microphone that's far away. And 3 is reducing reverb. Let me show you something. Here's a little behind the scenes of our studio, and I want you to see all this stuff on the wall, those diamonds. We put those up there so that reverb or sound bouncing back and forth between the walls doesn't happen. So if you're in a room that's kind of echoey, put something on the walls, put a carpet on the ceiling. It doesn't even have to be in the shot. It'll just help reduce all that extra noise. And of course, turn off your air conditioning, fans, anything else that might be making a noise. Sometimes even your computer has a loud fan. Whatever kind of microphone you end up using, remember those 3 things. Closer is better, careful with those plosives, and do what you can to reduce reverb. Is it time to talk about cameras yet? Not yet, because there's something that you can do that will make your video look great regardless of what camera you're using. And that is making sure you have great lighting and a great background. When it comes to lighting, there's just a few things to know. And the first is having more light is usually going to be good. The more light you have, the better your camera's footage is going to look. It doesn't have to struggle to lighten up everything from the dark. So, lots of light is a great, easy place to start. If you're wanting to get a little more advanced, take a look at setting up a 3-point setup. I'll put a link in the description that really walks through it. But the basics are pretty easy. You have one big light to one side, that's your key light, your brightest light, and you want it to be soft. What does soft mean? The bigger it is, the better it looks on your face. So some sort of large light source. A window can be a really great key light if the sun isn't shining directly through the window. If it is, that can be pretty harsh. So a north-facing window is a very good choice. Next, you might have some shadows on the side of your face or underneath that are a little too dark. And that's where your second light comes in. It's called a fill light. It goes on the other side. It doesn't have to be quite as bright. It doesn't even have to be quite as soft. But it'll make it so it doesn't look like you have a spotlight just hitting you from one direction. It'll make your light look a little more even. And the third light is a hair light or an edge light. Now, I don't even have one of those set up right now. All it does is shine from behind and create a nice little edge along the side of your body to really make you stand out from your background. Speaking of backgrounds, the main thing you want to consider is how you look or your subject looks compared to the background. You don't want them to blend in so much that they don't really stand out. You want some contrast. So we've got this light on a black background, and the light makes it so that the edges of the subject are seen. They're visible. You stand out a little bit more than if it was just pure black. But you don't have to go so far as getting an actual backdrop. Just take a look at what's behind you. Clean it up. Give yourself a little bit of depth. A little bit of space between you and your background goes a long way towards isolating your subject, helping them stand out a little bit from your background. Some people like really bright colors. Some people want something a little more muted, and it's up to you. I think the easiest thing to do is go look around online, see what backgrounds you like, and just borrow heavily from it. At the end of the day, if you just put a couple of lights in front of you, a couple of lights on your background, and clean up what's going on behind you, you're probably off to a good start. So don't worry about it too much. But hopefully this gives you some ideas for where you can get started if you really want to level up your video. And as always, I'll put a few links in the description for some inexpensive lights that you can use to get started. And now finally we get to the camera. Now with everything we've talked about, getting your audio to sound really good, getting your lighting, your background looking great, you might not need to consider a new camera. It might be good enough to use what you've got, or at least start there. But if you're ready to make the plunge and buy a really nice camera to really make your video look crisp and just incredible, here's a few things to consider. First, consider getting a camera that has a shallow depth of field. What does that mean? It means it can make your background blurry while you're sharp. Now you may have seen this faked on video call setups where you can click a little button, but having it happen in the camera looks really, really nice. Second, get one that you can plug into your computer and just works right away. Some cameras are really meant more for filming and for taking photos and not being a webcam. Now you can film yourself straight to the camera, and that's actually a great way to get great quality video, but a lot of us want to use the computer to record our footage straight to the computer and also to be able to see ourselves easily when we're recording. If this is the case, you want to get a camera that you can plug in and shows up as a webcam immediately. The good news is, in recent years, most modern mirrorless cameras can do this. You just plug them in, set them up on a tripod, and you can select that camera to record. And this is probably the best way to go. But you can buy a dedicated webcam. They're very easy to use. They're set to automatic exposure already, but be careful because a cheap one is not going to look very good. If you do buy a dedicated USB webcam, take the time to find one that's going to look really nice. As always, I'll leave some recommendations in the description. The good news is, you might have a really great webcam in your pocket. If you're on the Apple bandwagon and you've got an iPhone and a Mac, they can pair automatically, wirelessly, and you can buy a mount to put your phone like a camera right on your computer, and it looks really great. The key is, the camera on the back is way better than the camera on the front. So using this mode will really improve the quality of the video that comes off of your computer. If you've got an Android, I know you can do it. You just have to get an app that you install on your computer and your phone and connect the two. Droid Cam is a popular one that you should definitely check out. So we've covered a lot of technical things you can do to improve your video, but don't forget what we said at the beginning of the video. Content is king. Know who your audience is. Take the time to plan your video. Make it engaging so that they want to stick with you, even if you don't have all of the best hardware. But as you get ready to keep improving your video, just tackle one of these at a time. Start with working on your microphone placement, cleaning up your background, maybe opening some more windows. Then consider getting a new microphone. Find one that works for your situation, whether it's earbuds, a wireless microphone, or a full-on desk microphone. After that, consider adding some lights that point both at you and at your background. And finally, when you've got everything else dialed in, consider getting a camera that will throw that background out of focus a little bit. It can really make your stuff look professional, no matter what setup you're using. Video is a great way to engage your prospects, educate your customers, and have a great social media presence. And I hope this has got you a few steps closer to making truly fantastic videos. Have a great day.